Hey everyone, welcome to the 53rd Anime Girls Profile Confidential. And as you see by the title, as you see by who's on the screen, yes, we are talking about Princess Cadence. That's right, Princess Cadence from the MLP Friendship is Magic franchise. Now I know just by reaction by a lot of people that Cadence kind of has one of those fan bases that you can compare to that of Sally Acorn. You see, Sally Acorn had a mixed fan base. A lot of people liked her for who she was and what she brought to the table. A lot of people didn't like her because of the fact that they felt either she stole the spotlight or she was a Mary Sue. And I kind of see a similarity here if you will, with Cadence almost. I do. I see a similarity with her because of the fact that there are a lot of people that like Cadence for who she is and what she brings to the table. Excuse me there. But there's some that don't like her because of who she is. And what they feel she is nothing more as, and that of course is a Mary Sue. Or a Pony Sue, whatever you want to call her. And honestly, everybody's got a right to their opinion about characters, but Cadence to me is a unique specimen when it comes to the princesses. Here's why. She has a backstory. She has a backstory on how she became an Alicorn princess. If you read some of the books, some of the book media of MLP FIM, you'll see that she basically became an Alicorn because she saved other ponies in a kingdom from a maleficent force. She saved other ponies and other creatures from a maleficent force. So that's how she was able to earn her Alicorn wings. Because just like Twilight, originally she was a unicorn. She was a unicorn originally, just like Twilight. Like I said, she was originally a unicorn like Twilight. And speaking of Twilight, she connects to Twilight because of the fact that when Twilight was a filly, she was her filly sitter, her foal sitter, if you will. When Twilight was young, basically a little about Cutie Mark age, maybe a little younger, Cutie Mark Crusader age, maybe younger, Cadence was her babysitter, her foley sitter. And that was through Cadence being her foley sitter, her babysitter, if you will, they developed a friendship. They even came up with a little dance that they even currently do sometimes when they greet each other. They even did a little dance that they do when they would greet each other. And even, like I said, even up till now. So there was that connection to where they became like best friends, if not like sisters, which is ironic because later on she would end up marrying Twilight's brother, Shining Armor, and thus she would become Twilight's official sister-in-law, if not just her sister. And it's always been that, and because of that now, there's always been a closer connection because when the writers would feel like it, they would try to come up with stories, either in the comics, the other kind of book media, whatever you want to call it, chapter book media, junior novel media, or even in the cartoon. They would do what they have to. They would come up with stories that would basically focus on the relationship between Cadence and Twilight. One example is Three's a Crowd. And some say this is one, I think, and I'm not sure about this episode because I haven't seen it yet, but I understand some have a mixed reaction about it because it's supposed to be comedic and funny, but it's also kind of, it may not be one of the best. Basically, the synopsis of this episode is Discord is sick. Twilight, I guess, has promised to take care of him, but it kind of falls at a time when she's supposed to be spending some sisterly bonding time with Cadence. Yeah, Cadence is coming to spend some time with her. So there's a unique plot there's a unique story plot right there. Another showcase of Cadence's connection with Twilight is when Twilight, in the episode Princess Spike, Twilight becomes so overworked that Cadence informs Spike, hey, you need to kind of take over some things for her while she rests up. Kind of take care of some things while she rests up. So, yeah, basically she asked Spike to take over for Twilight, to take Twilight's place temporarily. But, despite all that, some people feel that Cadence doesn't really bring much to the table, but I think that's where the Crystal Empire comes in. You see, in the finale to season 3, it showed that not only did Cadence and Shining Armor go off to the Crystal Empire and kind of help the citizens there and basically try to establish themselves as maybe the new rulers. Because here's the thing about Cadence. She became known as the Princess of Love because one of her main abilities was to cause other ponies and creatures to fall in love with each other that she felt were right for each other. She felt there was a connection with each other. There was a special connection between. So by becoming the Princess of Love, they decided, you would think that would be enough, right? Well, in truth, it was actually set up because the Princess of Love is actually just a prelude title to Cadence becoming the Crystal Princess. You see, long story short, if you've seen the Crystal Empire two-parter, basically only the Crystal Princess can control all the Crystal Heart, can basically use its power to protect the city, kind of draw from its power, if you will. Use and draw from its power. And Cadence proved to be just that. And one thing a lot of people have commented here is how, excuse my language, God, for saying this, dear Lord, excuse my language for saying this, in the climax of the Crystal Empire two-part season 3 finale, everybody said that Cadence looked actually badass in the end because the moment she saw the Crystal Heart, because Spike did play an integral role in this because he was the only one that was able to escape with the Crystal Heart. Well, Twilight got imprisoned when they had found it. Twilight had basically become imprisoned on the top of the tower of the Crystal Castle. So, long story short, Cadence sees the heart, and that starts to kind of prep her up a little bit. That kind of starts to bring her back to being who she is. And when people talk about badass moments for Cadence, the badass moment they talk about is basically just when it looks like Sombra is about to swallow the Crystal Heart, and even Spike for that matter, Shining Armor launches his wife in what is considered spectacular fashion and badass fashion, and it's just like a millisecond before, King Sombra could get the heart, in comes Cadence like a pony out of you-know-what, or a bat out of you-know-what. And a lot of people, despite how they might feel about Cadence, all agree that that is probably one of the best Cadence moments there is. It's not one of the badass Cadence moments. If not one of the badass moments in the show, period. Heck, any time I see that scene, I only imagine Stan Bush's The Touch from the Transformers 1986 movie being played as soon as that moment happens. Like, as soon as Shining Armor launches his wife, that's when the music starts up, and the song would start up, and there you go. And I think it would be appropriate if they were to do that, if someone was to go out and put that song and blend it into that scene. Now even after that, and Cadence becoming the Crystal Princess, a lot of people felt she didn't really contribute much after that. Some say the only other time she contributed was like Three's a Crowd, and then of course sending her magic, and then of course along with Luna and Celestia, basically giving her magic over to Twilight during the season 4 finale. Some people felt that that's probably the only time she's ever been, useful. Some people felt that she hasn't done much since then. But here's the thing about Cadence. Cadence is the kind of character that is used in situations that many writers feel she's probably best in. She's an all-around character when one thinks about it. For example, when season 6 came around and her and Shining Armor became parents, and she gave birth to the first naturally born alicorn in Flurry Heart, the one thing I've already noticed about that is the comedicness there. What I've noticed in the first part somewhat, and mostly in the second part, is there is a comedicness there. There's a comedicness there that can be really, that when touched upon and really elaborated on, can really be, a diamond in the rough, if you know what I mean, or a crystal in the rough, if you know what I mean. It could really shine through, depending on who would write her in the stories. Another good example is this season, when Twilight actually started Foley sitting, actually had her first Foley sitting job, when she agreed to babysit her niece, Flurry Heart. Even though she had a lot of other things on the table, she agreed to make time to babysit her niece. And you might say, well, how does this concern Cadence? Well, the comedic parts is her and Shining Armor wanted some time alone. They wanted to have some time alone. Now, we're not talking romantic time, mostly, but mostly going out on the town. Well, basically, long story short, is they had planned to go to this museum, this art museum, and to see the arts, because I guess Cadence or Shining Armor are fans of art. And the comedicness about this is, I think, is in the episode when they would switch over to Shining Armor and Cadence at the museum, you would kind of see the looks like getting bored, unenthusiastic, kind of like, ooh, kind of having looks like, okay, whatever you say to whatever pony is talking to them, stuff like that. Basically, they'd be getting bored, but I guess being the Crystal Princess, you gotta be there whether you like it or not, or I don't know. And then the ending of it is when they go to pick up Flurry Heart, or Cadence is happy to see her daughter, kind of a little sad that the daughter was happy to be spending time with her aunt, but I guess just as happy later on, moments after, to be with her parents. And then what Cadence says at the end, it's kind of funny too. She asked Twilight, "Oh, what are you doing next Tuesday?" And Twilight's like, huh? You're like, oh, what are you talking about? It's like, Twilight's reaction is like, huh? What are you talking about? He goes like, you better not be talking about what I think you are. And Cadence has to assure her, like, oh, no, we meant for dinner, not to babysit. So, that's kind of a funny moment there. And to me, when I look at a character like Cadence, I look at a character that can really be explored even further. And I think the comics do that too. The comics, whether it's the Friends Forever spinoff, whether it's the main comic, whatever, they really explore Cadence as a character. They really have the option to really explore Cadence as a character, depending on which story or comic they use. Even the junior novels and graphic junior novels and novelizations and stuff like that, reading books, have all done what they could to really do more with Cadence. And Cadence has, to me, she has shown signs of it. She has shown and we have seen signs that she could do potentially more. And I think if given the opportunity, I think writers like Megan McCarthy, the lady writers, M.A. Larson, if he's still part of it, Jason Teresen, many of the creative writers there for the show and even for the comic, I think if given the opportunity, can really do a lot more, can really bring out the best in a character like Cadence. Now, one thing that somebody asked me when they commented on my last AGC or AGPC, which is short for Anime Girls Profile Confidential. When I talked about Celestria in the last one, some people asked me, why didn't you talk about her Equestria Girls one, her Equestria Girls counterpart? Because really, like some people, if not most, I'm not really into Equestria Girls that much. You know, mostly a main Prime series kind of fan. I mean, it's not that I have anything against, the Equestria Girl versions of some of these characters, but it's like, when I look at Celestria and I look at Luna and I look at Cadence in the Equestria Girls, as in the Equestria Girls franchise, when I look at them, yeah, I could tell I know it's them, but to me, here's the thing. When I look at the Equestria Girl versions of the characters, I could see some that are very similar or identical to the Prime Pony versions, to the Pony Prime versions, but when I look at other characters, I kind of see it, but then I don't see it. And the princesses, Cadence, Celestria, and Luna in the Equestria Girls form, or in the as the Equestria Girls counterparts, I just don't see it. All I see is all I see is characters that just share the same name, share the same color design, Color Pacific's design. That's all I see. I don't see anything else. I don't see no magic being used. I don't see no horns. I don't see nothing. I just see characters. All I see is basically carbon copies. And again, nothing against the Equestria Girls' interpretation of the characters, but that's all I really see. You could have Celestia as the principal, and she could be, as regal and as wise as her Pony Prime counterpart. That's fine. Same with Luna, who's the vice principal, and same with Cadence, who's what? The teacher or the secretary or whatever. I see that. I see that. I could see. What I'm trying to say is, you can have them in these roles, and you can have them be, as you would probably see them in the regular series, but still there's just that disconnect. And even though, like I said, you could probably see them being as wise and as similar in character as the Pony Prime selves in the regular series, there's still just enough of a disconnect to where you could see it, but basically, as the old saying goes, it's all flash, no substance. With the regular series, with the Friendship is Magic series, when it comes to Cadence, whether you like her or you don't, when it comes to Luna, whether you like her or you don't. And the same with Celestria. When it comes to the Friendship is Magic series, there is substance, there is flash, and there is substance. Well, on the Equestria Girls side, with the human counterparts, there's flash but no substance, or the other way around, there's substance but no flash. But on the MLP FIM side, there's both. There's substance and flash. There's flash and substance. And honestly, that's why I didn't talk about Celestria as Equestria counterpart in the last confidential video, because what is there to talk about? She doesn't do much. The Pony Prime version of Celestria, the Pony Prime version of Luna, the Pony Prime version of Cadence do a lot more than the Equestria Girls counterparts. And I think everybody listening knows that. But anyway, getting back on Cadence, all I can say is here's a character that I truly believe that with the right writing staff behind her, the right creative staff behind her, the right story to support her, or variety of stories to support her, I really think is a character that can shine. Is a character that can really take it to another level. Whether you need her to be an action-adventure princess for an episode or two, whether you need her to be a comedic princess, or a consulting princess, or a dramatic princess, or a princess that you need in a dramatic situation, or as a consulting, or to consult somebody, or to consult another character, she's the kind that I believe potentially can take on all these different roles. I really do. Heck, when I talk about comedic, I think she could be the one character, if not one of the few characters, that have decided to bring in what's known as the melting gag, or the lustful melt gag, or whatever you want to call it. She'd be the kind that they would look at and say, all right, what other character besides Pinkie Pie and maybe Rarity can we use this gag on? Oh, we could use it on Cadence. And she would be the kind that I think they could really work with, and incorporate that gag, and really work with by incorporating that gag into for an episode. I really do. And it's not and I know you're going to probably say, well, man, you sound like you're obsessed with this. It's not that. It's not that at all. I just look from a character perspective that she could be the kind, besides obviously Pinkie Pie and maybe Rarity, that if they decide to put that gag in there, and use a princess to do it, she'd be the first one on the radar. That's the honest truth. But overall, and again, as far as being in an action-adventure situation, I think she could be the same way. I mean, we got glimpses of that in the season 3 finale. I truly believe we'll get more of that down the line if she's given the opportunity. And another thing as well is, speaking of that, I think from an action-adventure standpoint, people would like to see her in Shining Armor perform that spell of theirs that they performed towards the end of the season 2 finale. That's something we haven't seen in a while, and if they could use that again, that would be something that fans would really embrace and enjoy seeing again, depending on the situation. We still got about 6-7 more episodes to go, so we'll have to wait and see if maybe they do something with her for the rest of this season. If maybe the 2-part finale, she plays a role in that. We'll have to wait and see. But as far as I'm concerned, I really think that Cadence is an all-around character. I think that given the opportunity, they could put her in situations that they need to have a certain character in, and she could fit the bill perfectly. If not, kind of she basically fit the bill perfectly, if not fit it decently. That's what I believe they could end up. That's what I see with a character like Cadence. I really do. I really see that. Like I said, I see that potential there, and all it takes is the right creative staff, the right writing staff to do so. Because again, we've seen it throughout the series. We've seen it in the comics. We've seen it probably in other media. It could work. I think it can really work, and people would like it. I'm sure they would love to see Cadence in a comedic role. They'd like to see her in an action adventure role. They'd like to see that stuff. And I believe she is the kind of all-around character, princess, that can pull it off. I really do. Now, like I said, I understand, some people may look at her as a Mary Sue / Pony Sue, and nothing more than a character that was created for merchandise and all that. Fine. That's your opinion, but there are other characters that like her because they see potentially what I see. Now, so in closing, all I can say is I think Cadence, if done right, is the kind of character, if given the opportunity down the line, and with the rest of this, either with the rest of this season or next season or even future seasons, because let's be honest, we know we're going to probably get more than 8 seasons. I think Cadence is the kind of character that has many opportunities ahead of her, and that she's the kind of character that she just has to be given these opportunities to really be utilized in the right way. Because I look at it this way, Cadence is the kind of character that may be in a situation Sally Acorn's character was in, where you had fans that liked her and fans that didn't. But I think she's the kind of character that can actually start to win the fans that don't like her over, if put in the right proper situation, into the right and proper stories, and utilized correctly. I think she's the kind of character that can win the fans that don't like her over to the side of liking her. I really do. So that's all I'm going to say about Cadence here. I mean, yeah, I will say, as I've mentioned before, she was the first princess, as far as the Funko vinyl collection goes, that I got. But I'm not doing this just because of that. I'm doing this because it's part of my series, and I just feel that this needs to be said. So let me know what you guys think down below. What do you think about Princess Cadence? And I will talk to you all later, and see you next time on the 54th edition of the Anime Girls Profile Confidential.